Hey guys, welcome back to Cubes and Contemplations. Today, we're talking about habits. Actions you repeat over and over until you get used to them and do them automatically without even thinking about it. There are good and bad habits, of course, that we're going to talk about, but before I get started, this topic was suggested by Ender Warden in the previous video's comments. Thank you for the suggestion. I loved it. It's something I feel like I can talk about for 10, 15, 20 minutes or so, which is Cubes and Contemplations, isn't it? Thanks for the suggestion. If you have a suggestion for a future topic for Cubes and Contemplations, leave it in the comments below. Anyway, let's start with the habit discussion, which I think we should start. Where do we draw the lines between habits, addictions, infatuations, and obsessions? They're all similar concepts, right? They're all repeating an action or really being into something, but I think we can box infatuations and obsessions away pretty easily because they're both tied to material objects. An obsession is a strong attachment to a thing, and an infatuation is just an obsession with a person, which is kinda creepy. Separating habits and addictions, though, is a lot more difficult. My first thought was that it was a context thing. If an action you repeat really often has a positive or neutral effect on you, it's a habit. If it has a negative effect, it's an addiction. So, for example, smoking cigarettes has a negative effect on people. It destroys your lungs. It causes you to be addicted to a substance that costs money. That sort of thing, so that's obviously an addiction. And a positive thing would be the habit of brushing your teeth before bed, which cleans you and helps you. But then I thought there are bad habits, like biting your nails. No one says you're addicted to biting your nails, but it is a bad habit. So I'm actually not sure where the line between bad habits and addictions lies, or good addictions and habits. Usually addictions is a negative context, but habits can be both. So really the distinction is, what is a bad habit and what is an addiction? You could also be addicted to phones or social media, which is a thing, which would be an obsession. So I don't know. I don't know where to draw the lines, but it also doesn't really matter because you know what I mean when I say habits. So I don't know why I'm spending so much time in mental anguish on this. Let's talk about something much easier. Positives of habits. Habits are something we get stuck in for a reason. We don't just get stuck in a habit and, well, I was gonna say addicted to something, but we just went over that habits are not addictions. Well, I guess you're doing that now. No, it's something that we humans have done for hundreds and thousands of years because it helps us in some way. For example, they often help us remember actions that we repeat all the time, or at least that ones that we should repeat all the time. For example, I've trained myself, or gotten into a habit, of always doing 4 things before I get in my bed at night. I brush my teeth, I floss my teeth, I wash my face, and I take out my contacts. All 4 of those things are necessary before I feel like it's okay to go to bed. If I haven't done these things, when I try to go in my bed, my brain sends up an alarm flag and says, "Wait! You missed some steps here, go back!" This is the simplest example of a positive habit. It keeps me remembering to clean my teeth and face before I go to sleep. It's good hygiene. Other positives, though, habits can be like segments of our routine that we can move around and shift easily, like a big chunk, like we put a folder with a bunch of different parts of our routine in it. If we remember we always have to do certain stretches every day, for example, it wouldn't really matter when you do them as long as you have a habit that you will do them that day, because then at some point you're very likely to think, oh, I have free time. Instead of doing nothing or wasting time on social media, I'm gonna stretch my legs. They also help us save mental energy, thinking about what we should do at a certain time. Finally, habits also help protect us. I have a driving habit every time I get in my car that I call lights, camera, action, which is where I check 3 things. First, are the headlights of the car on auto? If they aren't, they might be on off or brights, which are both bad for different reasons. Second, I hope that the gas is full enough that I can drive where I want to go. If it is less than a quarter full, I will be very hesitant to drive, and if it is even less, I will prioritize going to a gas station. Third, that the student car magnet my brother puts on the back of the car while practicing is not on the car. I don't want to be considered a student driver because that is lying. And I'm also not even sure if it's legal to put a sticker on your car if you're not an official student driver institution. I really don't know the legality of that. I'm sure people would just say, oh, it's a bumper sticker. But anyway, once I check those 3 things, I know I'm ready to go. And side note, by the way, I know camera and action have absolutely no relation to the things I said I check, but Lights, camera, action is way more memorable than lights, gas, student driver magnet. Now, while habits have many positives, I'm sure you were thinking plenty of all the negatives, especially when I name-dropped bad habits earlier. There's obviously a really heavy negative side to habits. Habits are something that we don't always do consciously, and in fact, most of the time, we don't do them consciously. And when you don't do something consciously, obviously you're a lot less likely to consider what you're doing. It can lead to you repeatedly taking a bad action and never noticing or caring or reconsidering or thinking or evaluating what you're doing. You're just going with it because it's your habit and it's what you do. I mentioned it before, but biting your nails, a bad habit, and a lot of people do it without even thinking. Now, I have never been a nail biter, but people I know have. Something I've noticed is they will often complain that their fingers hurt. Then you ask them what happened and they say, "Oh, I bite my nails." It's almost like they don't really notice what they're doing when they're doing it, and they only realize afterward when their fingers hurt, "Oh, I was biting my nails." Because it's a habit, it's something that people will do automatically without thinking, even though it has clear negative effects down the road. By the way, I'm not trying to put down people who bite their nails, but it really is not a good thing to do. Sometimes a habit is socially unacceptable, but you don't think about it. You'll see people pick their noses and ears. Grown adults, like people who have high-end jobs, and they're just picking their nose, or they have their finger in their ear, because they never thought maybe they should stop that. They never considered that habit, because they might not even notice they're doing it. And sometimes a habit is just plain annoying. I am particularly prone to random finger movement habits. It might sound weird, but I'll explain. A few years ago, I once did this thing where I ran my thumbnail up my pinky finger. There's no reason that should be addictive, but then for months afterward, I repeated the same motion. I ran my thumbnail up my pinky finger, and it's just something I did ambiently. I'm doing it now, and I don't want to start it again, so I gotta shake my hand to tell myself to stop. More recently, I've been doing this weird thing where when I stick my thumb up, I also stick my pinky out. Like I'm kind of failing to do a rock star, like cool sign, or maybe Spider-Man hands. I think this originally started because I was trying to mimic the way that hand gestures look in VR when you're not used to it. Like your VR hand kind of weirdly jerks around and fingers lift up out of nowhere because you really don't know what you're doing with the controller at first. So I tried to mimic that look with my actual hand, and I guess one of the motions I did, which was just keeping a pinky finger extended, stuck, and I keep doing that. It's weirdly addicting. I also have these weird hang-ups when reading books and climbing stairs. I'm not sure if these are also habits or something weirder. I will count the lines of a paragraph and hope they're divisible by 3 or 5 as I'm reading. You'd think this would be distracting, honestly, like hard to focus on the book when I'm counting, but I've done it for so many years, it's just something I register without thinking. Like, yep, that was 15 lines right there, nice. But I still comprehend the paragraph. It's almost something I don't even notice I notice. Does that make sense? I'll think, that was satisfying, and then think, wait, why did I think that? And then, oh, I thought that because it was 15 lines long. I counted it. I didn't even notice. Why do I do this? No idea. Maybe I originally liked the way that diagonally symmetrical paragraphs looked when they're 3 lines long, with the indented first line, a last line that stops a little early, and then a middle line that's all the way across the page. And then I realized all paragraphs with a number divisible by 3 would also be symmetrical. That's such a specific, weird idea. I don't know why I would start a habit based on that, but I did. Also, I mentioned stairs. I will count stairs as I climb them. Similar to how I hope that paragraphs in books are divisible by 3 or 5, I hope that I can climb up stairs by skipping 1 stair each stair and land perfectly at the top without having to step up 1 stair instead of 2. It's kind of hard to explain, but can I step up all the stairs without stepping up only 1 stair? Like, can I step up 2 stairs all the way to the top? This explanation is not making it any better, is it? Both flights of stairs in my house have 13 stairs, not counting the starting or ending floors, which means they fit the above criteria. That might actually be the reason that I started thinking it was so good, because that's what I'm used to at home. It's just, why would that become a habit? Why would I start counting stairs? That's the weird, illogical things of habits that bug me, and they are annoying to a point. Even though I say I don't mention the book thing When I do think about it, I'm like, why do I do that? I just want to focus on what I'm reading. I don't want to think about the number of lines in this paragraph, but I do it anyway because I ran my thumbnail up my pinky because that's what my habit was before I thought about it. I stick my pinky out when I do a thumbs up for no reason because that's my habit, and I don't understand it. Breaking habits is a challenge too. I mostly have to focus on breaking habits, which is the challenge because the whole idea of habits is something you do unconsciously. So to retrain a habit, you have to be consciously thinking. You have to think over the code that's running in your head that says to do this. You have to think, no, don't do that. Do this other thing. So when I, for example, stopped that thumbnail up my pinky finger thing, every time I would move my thumbnail up to my pinky finger, I had to think, no, shake my hand and not do it. I had to take over from my unconscious brain and say, no, don't do that. That's a bad habit. Stop that. That's distracting and I don't want you to do it. That's how I broke habits. Now, I know other people have tried other things for breaking habits like biting their nails, such as coating them in Tabasco sauce. I'm not sure how effective that would be, but I also have never had to bite my nails, so I'm not sure. And if you like the taste of Tabasco sauce, then you're screwed. One other example of a good habit that I don't have written in my notes but I want to share, since we just talked about bad habits, let's bring it back to one good one, is to fix my posture. Being a person who has sat at a computer and TV for many years when I was smaller, before I grew more, I kind of grew with a leaned forward neck. And I don't like how that looks. I think it looks really bad. So, instead of just dealing with it, I trained myself. Every time I look in a mirror, every time I'm in the presence of other people, I will straighten up and try to fix my posture. And that became a habit. It became something I do automatically. So now when I look in the mirror, half the time I'm already standing up straight, even though I know that if I let myself slouch, I will go into this neck forward state. But when I have the habit, it saves me the trouble of consciously thinking that. That's an example of a good habit. Or maybe at least a habit that I think is good to have. Anyway, habits are weird. We are protected by them at times, but other times they're super annoying. They can help us remember important parts of our routine, but they can embarrass us if we don't think about them in a social setting. They're a universal part of the human experience, though. I don't know a single person who has never had a habit. Everybody has a habit for something, right? Did you have a habit? Tell me in the comments below. What's a habit you have? Or maybe tell me a bad habit that you don't like, that you used to or currently do. Or tell me a good habit that you do like to do, and tell me why you like it. Anyway, that is going to be the end of this episode of Cubes and Contemplations. Thanks for sticking with me through it. Thanks to Ender Warden again for recommending this topic. And for now, I do want to tell you all, thanks for watching, and I will see you later.